Tincup and Ryan Leary. You are listening, hopefully watching, the Heroes of HR Limited Series podcast brought to you by isolved. Today we have Brandon on, and we're going to get to know him and get some questions out of him for this podcast. So, Brandon, would you do us a favor and introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Brandon Rumler. I'm the executive director for Skyline Center, located in Clinton, Iowa. I like to tell people Skyline Center's kind of the Swiss Army knife of community providers when it comes to individuals with disabilities. We provide a multitude of services, employ about 140 people, and really are proud of the work that we do to serve the individuals.
Oh my God, that's great. That is fantastic work right there. Some would say that's God's work. So good for you and good for Skyline. That's fantastic. Um, all right, just jump into the questions, Brandon, if
Sure.
you don't mind. From a talent perspective, what's keeping you up at night these days?
Well, one thing that I've said multiple times is that we provide competitive benefits and wages for other community providers when compared to other community providers, but we have a lots of manufacturing facilities in our area. So even though we're competitive in our field, we're not so competitive with the other positions around.
Mm,
One thing that keeps me up at night is finding good quality candidates to fill our open positions. And even above that, maybe above someone that works in a factory or a bank or something, uh, it keeps me awake at night because thinking about employees that not only um, are quality employees, but also carry a passion to serve the individuals. Because I think how you treat the people that we work with,
yeah.
passion for that type of work translates, and they're very receptive to how you feel about the service you're providing. And we are a highlight in their life, and we want employees that are gonna, um, you know, I don't know, accentuate that
Yeah,
highlight.
they
Right.
feed off of that. Or a quick
Yeah,
follow-up. Skyline's a nonprofit, yeah?
that is correct. Yes. Yep.
So this has been the age-old quandary with nonprofits and for-profits is for-profits will spend more money and can spend more money on talent, but they don't necessarily get the passion. Sometimes they do, of course, and sometimes they don't. But with nonprofits, you gotta have the passion.
Yeah.
You
And
have to.
and along with that, for profits, if they want to bring in more talent, higher level employees, they can raise
Yep.
entry wages,
Right.
pass that along to their customers,
Yep.
and offset that. We get reimbursed by the state,
That's
and I
right.
can't I can't tell Medicaid, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to raise my starting entry wage, and so you need to raise your rates that you're paying. I mean, it just
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
No, you can't do that. It really is a game, and this has been true as long as I can remember. It's like you're just not going to get paid as much when you work with a nonprofit. However, it's going to feed your soul.
Yep,
If
absolutely.
so, if you're in it for just the money, you're
It's
probably
not the
not
right
going to be.
place.
Yeah, it's exactly. That's exactly
Yeah,
right,
it's a,
Ryan.
there's a long term benefit
Yep.
for work, and so Brandon, I know a few people that I'm very close with that work for nonprofits, and you know there's a difference in how they live their life
Hmm.
as an individual. There really is, in how they talk to you, how they
Hmm.
accept news or bad news or even
Just
good
comes
news.
out.
And yeah, they're a very different type of person, and not all people are the same. But what, Brandon, what is exciting you for going into the new year?
Yeah.
So along with that, I'm continually excited to find that unicorn of an employee, that one that has the passion, that's not about money and wants to make a difference in the individuals with disabilities that we serve. On one hand, it scares me because there's not a lot of people out there that carry those qualities. But I get excited, just like someone that hunts for Sasquatch or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I get excited because I know that unicorns running around out there, and we're going to connect with them, and they're going to have a positive impact on our individuals. So
Yeah.
I'm constantly thinking about that. When HR brings in new hires through and they introduce me, I'm super excited. And sometimes I know right off the bat by our interaction, this person's going to be good for our people, or we're going to have to wait and see how this works out. So that's what excites me is getting people in, and once they've been employed by Skyline, following up with them, and they're like, "Hey, this is amazing." The feeling I have when I leave work every day, from the smiles, from the laughs, that impact is a fringe benefit that people don't always anticipate when they start working for a nonprofit.
Yeah, it's I'd love to try this with your job description, not job description, your job ads for open talent is, a typical thing, but just the first sentence is if you don't get joy out of helping people, stop reading.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Can I use that, by the
Oh
way?
hell
Go
yeah,
for it.
sure
Let us
idea,
know how
man.
it
No, you're
works.
good. You're good. You're good. It's just again,
Yeah.
if that's not your juice, that's cool. I'm no
Yeah.
hate. Like just stop reading. Like don't waste your time. It's
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so I solved obviously sponsoring this podcast series. We love them, and they have people heroes as one of their bits that they do. When you hear that phrase, what does that make you think of?
Well, it makes me think of our employees. Specifically, so Skyline, we just celebrated 60 years of providing these services back in November of last year. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And you don't get that kind of longevity without providing quality service, without there continuing to be a need for our service. But most of all, having employees that provide that quality service. Um, so to me, when I walk through our whether it's one of the homes that we have, if it's our production facility where we're employing individuals with disabilities, and I see our staff working alongside of them, and I see the reaction to those individuals, right there, that's where I'm like, these people are all heroes to me. And they're heroes to the individuals that we serve. So, and kind of a long, extended, winded version. That's how I feel about our staff and our employees when when I see them interacting with the individuals.
So let's continue down that path, Brandon. So you're at a cocktail party. You're talking to someone who's they don't know iSolve. They're not in payroll. They're not in benefits. They don't work for a nonprofit. How do you describe iSolve to them?
It's interesting. This is
That's a
probably
good
going to be the
question.
corniest. Yeah, this is probably going to be the corniest response you've ever heard. But and I just had an opportunity last night. One of the local banks that supports us had their holiday party, and I was able to mingle with some community leaders and things like that. And my explanation is like this: if you buy a brand new vehicle or you're test driving new vehicles and you get in that thing and you start noticing everything that they thought of to put in that vehicle, whether it's right in the center console, you just lay your phone
Hmm.
down and it charges, or it's for kids, it's screens that retract down into the door. Everything that these guys think of to put in cars, that's what iSolve does with human resource management. Like the modules that they have, and mind you, I've been at Skyline for 2 years now. I did not have iSolve till I came here.
Right.
But my first 6 months here, getting to know the agency, I was constantly amazed at the things I could find in iSolved. And so I feel like when a new car comes out, they put as much technology
Hmm.
and they think of everything. iSolve does the same thing with human resource management. And anybody I've ever talked to at iSolve, I always talk about how the smallest thing is the fact that when you get hired here, we mark down, we ask you what your shirt size is. Sounds simple enough, right?
Yep.
No big deal. Who cares about that? But I will tell you how many times in my career, I can't count, where we've done some kind of promotion, we've celebrated an anniversary, we did T-shirts for everybody, and our staff's out running around trying to run down
Yep.
shirt sizes.
Yep.
We just pull that
Hmm.
information right from. I mean, that's tiny. That's a tiny part of iSolve, but that shows you their focus and their dedication to making sure that the software applies to just about every aspect of employee management.
It's like thoughtfulness that
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
thoughtfulness to the development of the software. It's interesting because Ryan and I, one of the things we really love about iSolved is they use their own tech. So they use
Yeah.
iSolved. So we were talking to the TA leader yesterday. She uses iSolved. So they get a lot of feedback from the practitioners there at iSolved, which I think I think
Yeah,
helps to what you just said.
which
Yeah,
doesn't
and if
happen
and
all the time.
no,
No.
and if I can add to that a little bit, a nonprofit, we've already talked about it. We're not
Yeah.
competitive with wages, and it's more about the purpose and the mission. But iSolve gives us the opportunity to manage employees and enhance their experience here at the agency that maybe doesn't always translate to extra dollars. To
Right.
give you an example, we recently started what we call a focus group. I like to call it the Culture Club because, and I wish they would play Boy George every
Oh
time
boy.
they had a meeting because I think that would be amazing. But they've come up with some ideas to enhance the experience for employees. One of them was, let's have our leadership team send them a card every month to the people that are celebrating an anniversary, whether it's
Hmm.
the first year, the 20th year, whatever. And we simply just pull that information from iSolved the first of every month.
Yep.
Our leadership, we pass cards around, we all sign it, thank them for the service, and it goes out. And that's a minimal cost, but the impact is huge on the employee experience. Same thing with birthdays. The first Monday of every month, we celebrate everybody's birthday that month. And that doesn't mean that just those people that have a birthday in that month. That means our whole team can come together and celebrate them to promote unity throughout the agency. And all that information is just a click away in iSolved.
I love that. I love how it's funny because people don't get paid to use technology
Yeah,
in either corporate or in
Hmm.
nonprofits, but it's that the technology can really impact the experience. And as a leader, it's impact your other the parts of your leadership. It's impacted y'all, so
yeah,
that you don't have to go through file cabinets and all that. You still want to do the same bit, because it is a really, really good idea to recognize anniversaries and birthdays and all of those types of things. But it's so easy. They've made it so easy. Your experience with that again, it's a click of a button and run a report and it's done.
yeah. Yeah, and it
Yeah,
frees up time for our HR managers, directors,
right.
to focus on staying compliant with other rules and
Hmm.
changes. They're not chasing all that information down. So I
That's
mean,
right.
it's super helpful.
All right. Last question. On the occasion that you kind of get, I wouldn't say down or depressed, but your battery's low. Happens to our phones and to us. Um, what do you do to recharge your battery?
This is probably one of the easiest questions I've been asked because in our line of work, we grow attached to the individuals that we serve. So
Hmm.
I do have downtimes.
Yeah,
Last year we lost probably three individuals that had been with the agency for a long time. Just passed away, a
yeah.
couple of them unexpectedly, and that really sends you down into a lull. Um, and beyond that, I might have one of my kids drive me crazy, and that sends me. And what I do, gentlemen, is right next to my office is our day habilitation facility, and that's where we serve about 50 plus individuals every day. Come in, we take them out in the community to museums, libraries, whatever. Try to integrate them in the community. But when I have those downtimes, I'll get up and I walk over to day hab, and I walk into that room filled with 50 individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities who have had a lifetime of people looking at them
Hmm.
differently, treating them differently.
Hmm.
And I walk in and I see how happy they are. I'll ask them, "Hey, Kevin, what are you doing today?" "Oh, we're going down shopping at the mall, or you know, and to know that we are making that difference and they're happy. And then I step back and I look at all of my staff that are out there working with those 50 people and the impact they're having on their life. And you cannot walk out of that building without feeling better,
Right.
without being in a better place, and knowing that you are truly making a difference for these people. And ultimately, Skyline becomes their family, and you're part of that family. And all families have ups and downs, but I'll tell you what, you spend 10 minutes in our day hab facility, and you're going to spend the rest of that day walking on cloud nine, happy.
Dude, it's reminds me of my mom because I was born legally blind and she was born legally blind, but went to back then she went to blind school for like up till eighth grade. And when you're a child, when you're younger, you don't really get it. You wear glasses or whatever, and people make fun of you and all that stuff. And every time I would get down, I'd see somebody that was actually blind.
Right.
And
Yep.
I'd automatically go, okay, you know what? As bad as you think you have it, you don't have it bad.
Yeah.
You don't have it bad. I love that. I love the work that you're doing, but I also love that that's really close to you. So
Yeah.
that in those moments for you, your team, etc., you just go next door and see people that are actually happy and thriving. So this has been a
Yeah.
fantastic. You
Yes.
told us that this was probably going to be our worst interview, and of course you're managing our expectations. I actually appreciate that.
Yeah.
This has been fantastic, Ryan. Is
I love it, Brandon. Thank you for what you do and for what the company does, and
100%
good luck with everything you guys are set out to do.
Yeah. Well,
absolutely
gentlemen, thank you for this opportunity to talk about our agency, what we do, and every state, every person that sees this podcast lives in a state that has agencies similar to ours. And I just ask you to support them. I don't care if you're in Iowa supporting us or if you're in Alaska supporting somebody,
right.
a different provider. We're making a difference, and that's what I really want everybody to realize. And tying it back to isolved, who's so generous to do this podcast. Um, you know, their HRM software is top notch and makes running a nonprofit so much easier.
Drops mic, walks off stage. Brandon, thank you so much. We appreciate you, brother. Uh,
Yeah.
Thank you, and thanks to the audience for listening. We love you. See you next time.